It's time for News You Need. News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting edition of News You Need. We had a little bit of a blip earlier. I think this may be the second time you've heard the intro to the show. That's okay. That happens occasionally. And we have a very special group with us today. These two our current producer for News You Need and our former producer for News. So it's very exciting. And now I also understand that it's unofficial move-out day. So we had we struggled a bit corralling some students, right? So, but this is always actually among my favorite panels, talk to folks who do this a lot. So why don't you introduce yourselves, tell us your name, major, who you are, all that kind of stuff.
Hey, I'm Lauren Johnson. I'm a social work major, and I was the past producer.
You are.
And I'm back again.
You're the immediate past producer. Excellent, excellent.
I'm Lillian, and I'm the current producer. And yes, it is unofficial move out days. So
yeah, that's exciting.
Oh, it's gonna be the best show ever. The
yeah,
producers,
it is the best show ever. So, okay, so why are we here? What is this show all about? Well, this show is about what's going on in the world, what's going on in our communities, and reading the news, looking at the headlines, and seeing what sort of issues that we as citizens need to pay attention to, and what sort of things are coming at us that we need to make decisions about. So that's what we talk about. That's why we're here. So why don't we just kind of dig in? So guys, as producers, you got your pulse on the finger of our pulse on our campus students here. So what's going on? What are our students talking about?
Finals.
Yeah.
Stressful for sure.
yeah, finals. Fees is always a topic. Just the conversation. I think it was last week we talked about the meal plan, the $300 meal plan.
Yeah.
Oh
so
gosh, that's
is,
causing an uproar.
Okay,
they got an official petition out, and a lot of people are signing it.
Ooh. So where is the petition?
It's online. A lot of students.
Is that petition.org, or do you know?
I have to find it.
Okay.
Do people just sign it? Is that how it works?
Yeah, you just sign it. But I found it on Fizz.
Okay.
Actually,
it's being passed around Fizz. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, she has a link. Okay.
Oh, there's a link.
We got
Okay.
a link. Gotta sign it. I'm
All
ready.
right. Okay. So yeah. So there's a link. Well, what is the link? Petition.org.
The link to the petition.
Yeah. Where is it? What is it?
I'm sure so many students have signed it already.
When I had signed up, it was 1,000+ signatures on it.
Yeah.
You know those? Okay, they have little like private stories on Snapchat for like the USM classes, and that was blowing up that day that the meal plan came out.
So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
So what do we got?
Change.
Change.org.
Oh,
Okay,
I've
there
heard-
you go.
yeah.
So you can go to change.org and you can, I assume, search for USM, and that'll pop up. So
Go sign it.
so let's talk about that, because I find this fascinating. So our students, now here, this is what's fascinating, and I want folks to take this with the way it's intended, which is only slightly mean. Okay, so there are protests going around the country on college campuses. There are massive change this week where police were called into at least 2 campuses, I believe UCLA and Chicago, where students were arrested, and they're protesting the war in Gaza and the U.S. support of Israel. Now, are our students talking about that at all?
I haven't really heard any of like my friend group talking about it, but I have seen a video this morning actually, and it was like how quickly police departments are cleaning up the spray paint and stuff that's on the buildings, Free Palestine, Free Gaza, all of that. So I was like, yeah, like they literally repainted a whole building overnight.
Wow, to get rid of the slogan graffiti.
Yeah.
Wow. Your circle, it's not an item?
I actually haven't even heard about this, so this is very interesting to me.
Okay. Yeah, well, so this harkens back, of course, to the 1970s, when students basically forced the end to the Vietnam War by protesting on college campuses, shutting down hundreds of colleges across the country. And of course, in Kent State, Ohio, do you guys learn about any of this stuff? like Kent State, Ohio. There was a protest at Kent State, Ohio in the early 70s over the Vietnam War. The governor sends in the National Guard, and the National Guard shoots and kills 4 students.
But were they violent? Is that why they were trying to like
Well, okay.
Or was it just
so there is a lot of discussion about that. So in the Vietnam era, there was some violence, like all protests can be some violence, depends on how you look at it, but mainly peaceful. And in the current situation, there was no violence per se, but there's an order from the university that says vacate. So leave the area. Well, the students say, well, we're protesting, we're not leaving. So they send in the police to say, okay, you're violating an order. So you gotta, you either move or we arrest you.
I mean, I think they kind of infringes on human rights. That's one, because like, you know, you can protest, but if it's an order from like the university, I feel like a lot of the universities take the student safety very seriously. So if they know that police was coming in, or like they sent the police in, like they're trying to make sure students are safe, and I feel like it was their decision.
You're taking a very positive
Wait,
outlook.
so was the Gaza one, was that one peaceful to begin with? Like, was there any like violent episode? That's why they brought in the police?
Well, there
or
was
it
like,
just
so in
peaceful?
one case, the students had taken over an administrative building.
Okay.
So they go into the building and they sit down in the hallways, take over offices, and say, we're not leaving until you grant our demands. But as far as were they, you know, busting through windows and turning cars over and doing that kind of, no, they weren't doing anything like that. But you're saying, hey, university tells you to do something, just do it.
Well, I'm more of a person that's like, okay, if somebody's telling me to do something and I know a situation is kind of like a iffy situation, the university or just authorities in general know more information than they're letting out. So if they knew something was going on and telling the students, hey, you need to leave this area, I'm going to leave the area. I'm not going to stay around.
And those protests can easily turn violent.
Yes.
So they probably brought the police out just in case, but the fact that they were
you guys
already...
are amazing. Okay, so what if now... So
but if it was a peaceful protest, then that's that's wrong.
Well, I'm
just,
not trying to
shut them
persuade
down.
you of nothing here. Don't look at me with those eyes.
You're like, you're crazy.
Yeah,
God.
okay, so here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. Those on the left, the progressive folks, say the reason the universities sent in the cops is to appease the far right, because the far right, the excuse me, the Trumpy Republicans are saying these students are out of control. They should be in classes. They shouldn't be out there protesting. You know, this is none of their business. You should be supporting Israel. So if you're protesting the war in Gaza, then that means you are anti-Israel and therefore anti-Semitic, and we're not going to put up with that.
It's a very big assumption.
Yeah.
Well, so this is the debate, right? So the universities say, okay, you know, you're violating our policy, so we're going to send in the cops.
I don't know. But like, when I think about it on our campus, we have like the Jesus people. What do they call them?
I've
they're
heard them referred to as Jesus people.
That's such a bad way to say
That
it.
was a bad
It really
one to
is.
say.
I'm sorry.
You are a horrible human being.
Oh God. Dang
Okay,
it.
so on that note, we're going to take a break and we'll come back
Damn it.
with horrible human beings.
Oh
in just a
gosh.
bit.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
The NLS Braille and Talking Book program gives patrons with visual or physical disabilities the freedom to read their way.
If you want to read in electronic braille, you can. If you want to read on your phone, you can. If you want to read in heart print, you can.
Everybody can read the way they want to read using this program.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread.
Okay, we are back, and we obviously do not think Lauren is a horrible human being. We love Lauren; she's an amazing human being.
We just had bad wording.
and a great student. So this is again. So did we talk about Jesus people? We did. Okay.
Well, we were about to, and then
Yeah.
we
We're about to. So that goes actually to this whole free speech idea, right? So part of the argument for what's going on. It was the same argument in the 1970s with the Vietnam War protests, and now currently the Gaza genocide protests, are what rights do students have to freely express and protest their views and their political arguments? Do they have a right to camp out in a university center area? Do they have a right to sit down in hallways and administrative buildings and demand change?
I mean, I think everybody has a right to like say what they believe in, but if you're, like disrupting school, not in like when you're protesting, then that's fine. But if you're going into administrative buildings and let's say the teacher can't teach their class because there's stuff going on, then I think that kind of becomes a problem.
Okay, so it's the idea of disruption.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Lily, what are you doing?
I'm over here trying to think, and
Gotcha,
then Cash
gotcha.
App just threw me off real quick.
Oh Lord, she's making money.
I think, like Lauren said, I feel like, as long as you're not disrupting the school setting and, like causing too many issues, like you said, like they took over the administrative building. I feel like, yes, that's a problem. I feel like if it was on USM campus and they did it in the student union, I feel like that'd be a totally different dynamic.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you're just spreading word about like what you're protesting for, like I'm gonna want to know what you're protesting for.
Okay,
Like
you guys are clearly a different generation. So like someone who's like myself, no, it's not a bad thing, but someone like myself who's 1.9 billion years old
1872
would argue that the point of protest is disruption.
True, it does. It stirs.
Yeah.
It
So if you
creates-
don't have disruption, then what is the point of protest?
I feel like our generation has kind of developed a new order of social norms. Like we're like when it comes to social media, I feel like social norms go out the window. But when it comes to like in-person conversations or like controversial conversations, I feel like we kind of have a know of like a time and a place. Like it's not the time to talk about abortion rights in front of these type of people. It's not time to talk about like.
Yeah, I think we kind of learned how to read
Yeah.
a room sometimes.
See, this is fascinating. This is absolutely fascinating. So I actually think that's a deep insight, and I love that our social media lives are very different than our actual in-person lives.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this. Let me let me riddle you this, bat ladies. The civil rights movement caused dramatic change in society through in-person protest and the amazing courage of folks like Medgar Evers, Clyde Kennard, those folks that said, I am going to put my body on the line to make change for somebody else. 60 years later, 70 years later, do we have a generation that says, my way of making change is through clicking something or sharing
hard.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like these days protests, like wherever they happen, they can turn violent so fast, and it's kind of hard. Like, you don't like you. Sometimes if you believe in something, you want to go protest, but you never know if like the police are gonna show up and start like pepper spraying you. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
And I think it creates a different dynamic as well. Like, just pressing a button on social media. Like I said, the thing with Eagle dining and, the students are against the $300, whatever is going on. I feel like, again, it's a time and a place.
And how effective is that too? Clicking a
Yeah.
button, like, is that really gonna make the people listen to
now
that?
that's the argument. Okay, so let's bring it back to.
And honestly, petitions don't work. Like the change things, people.
They'll
many
bring
people.
awareness.
Yes,
but
it'll bring
it's-
awareness, but the person's
takes
gonna look at
somebody.
that and say, "Well, it's still happening."
Well, and so that's the argument, is that you feel this new culture, this new way of taking part, is that this what we call clicktivism, the idea of you're no longer active but you're clicking things. Does it
Yeah,
really
participating behind the scenes.
does it really work, right? Does it really? So it makes you feel better for that moment. Say, oh look, I made a difference. I took part in the petition. I put myself on the line. Well, did you really? I mean, clicking that anonymously, did that make?
Yeah, like
did
were
that
you the
make-
ones in the front
So,
line?
so let's make a hypothetical here. Let's say 100 students get really upset over the $300. So let's kind of set the stage here. So this $300 Eagle dining thing is what? Have we figured out exactly what that is?
Unfair.
Yeah, I put it up. Eagle Dining. Okay, I will say this. Eagle Dining did put out a statement after the petition kind of went under. So they kind of explained how everything is going to go. Let me pull it back up.
They literally,
pull
it's
that
funny
up,
how
pull
they were
that
like,
up.
oh, this is a good opportunity for you. You get to eat on campus for these little bucks. And we're like, some people don't live on campus. Like,
Yeah.
what?
Well, that
So
is-
they did clarify. They was like, like I got the weekly 10 meal plan, so I get 500 bonus bucks. So basically what they're saying is I'll still get the 500, but 300 will be of dining dollars and 200 will be of bonus bucks.
Okay, and you spend those differently?
Yeah, so the dining
Kinda
dollars
sort,
can
yeah.
roll to next semester. Bonus
Yeah.
bucks cannot. Like they'll completely drain out your
Gotcha.
account.
Okay. So for you that has a 10 meal plan, does this policy change mean anything to you
I mean,
financially?
if I was to live on campus again, then possibly, but I'm going to be living off campus. And I think the $300, like after reading Eagle Dining statement, you never know what's going on behind the scenes, like I said. I think especially if I'm going to be a commuter next semester, instead of paying for like a full meal plan, getting that commuter meal plan with the $300, I feel like that could be beneficial possibly. But I do understand the views of other students that are living on campus, especially because, USM has a funny way of presenting meal plans. They don't let you know how to change it until like you're upperclassmen. You just spent $5,000 in debt now.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah.
Okay. So now, do all students get charged this $300?
It counts as a meal plan. So
So
commuter or not,
so whether you're a commuter and say I don't want a meal plan at all,
you get the
you get the
300.
you
Yeah,
get
because
you-
I don't get a
you
meal
get
plan.
billed the $300.
Yes,
And then
everyone will get billed 300.
Everyone will get billed 300,
Yes.
and they say, "Hey, you're not really getting billed 300.
Yeah, this is
You're-
bonus bucks.
This
like,
is you can use this money to go eat on campus."
and like,
that's
what are we gonna
fascinating.
eat? There's only Chick-fil-A and Subway, and now they're building up Panda
But
Express.
so that's $300 actual dollars that you're paying, that you're being billed for. Is that correct?
yes.
Okay, it said 2024 through 2025 school year, 10 meal swipes plus 200 bonus bucks for $1,770 plus 300 guaranteed dining dollars gives you a total of $500 to spend. So, like I said, if I was still on campus, it wouldn't change anything too much for me. It creates a weird dynamic of how they presented it. I think the way they presented it
I
caused
still
a lot
am
of commotion.
confused. Does I got to figure this out. So every undergrad gets charged $300 whether they want to eat on campus or not,
Yes, basically.
or are
that's
they
what-
given $300?
No, you are charged.
Charged.
Yes.
Okay. So now that is a significant change. So let's bring it back to free speech. So let's say 100 students who do not want this meal plan, or not want this whatever it is, start setting up a camp in Spirit Park, and the administration sends in the police. Is that cool?
I mean, if they're just camping out and protesting, I don't think that's cool.
Well, but it's against university policy to camp out.
Is it actually against
I
university
believe
policy?
it is, actually. You have to have
Okay.
permission to do things
Well, I
in
mean,
Spirit
policy is
Park.
policy, but if they want to make a change, then they're going to have to make some people mad, cause a little disruption.
Okay. But the administration says that's uncool, and we're going to send in the police, and we're going to start arresting students who are
If
protesting.
you're arresting, that's ridiculous.
Okay, but that's what's going on in other campuses.
I
That
feel
you
like
guys
it's
were
so
just
weird.
saying it's okay.
I feel like it's okay when it's a continuous problem going on. Now, if it's just something that recently came up, like, oh yeah, like they said they're gonna paint the building red and we're a black and gold school, I feel like I don't feel like there's a protest for that.
Yeah,
right?
no.
But like things like Palestine, Gaza situation, that's an ongoing problem, and it's like children, families are getting slaughtered by the day. Like that's a problem. So I feel like yes, you need to be in front of the line. You need to be camping out. The government, people, universities should be happy that the students are actually reading and taking notice of like what's going on in society. Like a lot of people these days, they're like, oh, it's not in Mississippi, it's not in the United States, so why should I care? But these students are actually making an effort to make change and to bring visibility to a problem that is just being swept under the rug. Not so much swept under the rug to the government, but swept under the rug to a lot of people because they don't think it's affecting them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
This is.
Okay, you're thinking.
You mentioned free speech, and
Yes.
this is a little off topic, but it's actually very important. So, the other day, my friend got accused of using AI on her paper, and the teacher was about to basically fail her out of that class. And her excuse, the teacher's excuse, was that it was too good of a paper. So she said, you used AI because it's too good. What? Like, never in my life would I think that would be a problem. And so now, like, social work is, like, trying to figure out how to, see AI and detect it. But it's ridiculous how teachers are, like, accusing people and they're about to fail them. Drop them, like, they're going to drop the university because they feel so, like, accused of all these things. And it's just ridiculous. Like, AI is, like, taking over this school. And I didn't even understand that because we have to turn it into this generator called Turnitin.
Mm-hmm.
And hers was green. Like, it didn't show anything.
Nope, that's right.
And the teacher called her in and was like, this word, and questioned her, like, made her define all the words. And she did. And it was so weird. I would have never expected that to happen.
That's happening all over campus.
Yeah.
The number of student violations or accusations of student violations of the honor code or the plagiarism or the whatever you call that code have tripled in the last year. And this is what everybody's wrestling with is Turnitin does not detect AI. But as a professor myself, I can tell you, I'm pretty sure I know it when I see it. And I don't really necessarily have a problem with it. My own policies, and this is what's interesting, and I think students need to be brought much closer to the conversation. Because right now the conversation's all up here with administration and faculty. We need to be talking to you all about how you use AI, what do you want to do with AI, all that. My own policy, for what it's worth, is I want you to use AI. I want you to get comfortable with it. I just want to know when you're using it.
Yeah, like if it's
And
writing your whole paper,
And so
come
you
on.
need to tell me you're using it. But that's
Yeah.
really pretty much my policy. And I will say I wish some students would use it more because it does help. It's like being in a math class and saying you can't use a calculator.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
I feel like for different majors, it's different because that's interesting how you said your policy is that because my teachers ban it all. Like, we cannot use it at all.
I will say half the faculty in our school, let alone the university, our school, ban it. And they're dead set against students using it. The other half are more like me that are saying nope. There was a survey that came out just 2 weeks ago where it was done by the Associated Press. 81% of all journalists that they surveyed use AI on a daily basis. To think that when you go out into the workforce that you're not going to be expected to use AI and use it intelligently and well is silly. Right? Why would
Yeah, and it's not going away, so
Yeah.
just banning it is going to do nothing.
So we're going to take a break, and we're going to have some closing thoughts, I think, here on the other side. Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau, from Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio.
Okay, we were back. I tell you, the AI discussion is fascinating. And the faculty are all over the board. Our students, I think, are all over the board. Although, how many of our students are using it, do you think?
I think they know better than to have a whole entire AI write their paper because it's going to be caught now.
Do they?
I think a lot of students are using it. I tell on myself, I do use it like when I'm building like outlines for papers. Like if it's a topic that I'm not so sure about and I really can't find a lot of information about it that's clear and understandable for me, I'll, put a link in ChatGPT and tell them like, what is this talking about? And then I'll develop my thoughts from there. But like writing a whole paper, I've seen it done. I've seen students get a good grade on it, and I've seen other students fail. So I feel like if you learn how to work it and know how to balance it, I think you'll be fine. But there are a lot of students using it.
Yeah.
I use Grammarly. I don't know. Is that AI?
Well,
Yeah.
it is. It's a slightly different version than ChatGPT or Gemini. I like Gemini personally. Well, and that's the other thing. So this is a really interesting conundrum. So we need you guys, and when I say you guys, our students, to learn how to write.
Yeah,
we,
of course.
we need that.
Yeah.
We need that to happen. If you rely solely on AI to write your stuff and you never learn yourself, that's a real problem.
Yeah.
So we got to somehow hit that middle. And I don't think anybody's figured it out yet. Just in like math, right? This was very similar to the debates when the big calculators came out in the 50s and 60s. And no, I wasn't there. That was came a little after me. But it was very similar debates. Is do we let the students use calculators? And of course now it's not a debate. Yeah, you get into
course.
higher level math. Even in high school, you're expected to buy a calculator.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to know enough to know when the calculator is giving you nonsense.
Yeah.
So how do we do that with writing? Right? So really interesting.
Very interesting.
And it's funny that you mentioned Grammarly because I had a friend that had a problem. She just ran her paper through Grammarly to make sure all grammar punctuation was correct, and she turned in her paper and it flagged it for plagiarism.
Actually, I've heard the new update of Grammarly. If you
Yeah.
update it and you do that stuff, it will be flagged for AI because there's some different version that they have now, and it will like if you change your sentences through that, it's going to be flagged as AI, and your paper is
It
going to get like
basically
red
leaves a
marks.
paper trail of
Interesting.
what you've used.
Because in social work, they tell us don't use the premium version. Like you can only use the
That's
version
just-
that gives you the bare minimum.
Yeah,
The one that
you know,
school
I think we're in very, very murky waters right now. But I think at the end of the day, we all want the bottom line. We want you all to learn how to write, which means learning how to think. Good writing is good thinking. So it's an interesting. Okay, so we're gonna run out of time here. I think we have like 1 minute
Being all
left.
philosophical
But
on us.
yeah, I know this has
Good
been a
writing,
great,
good
what a great
thinking.
show. Yeah, what
I
a
mean,
great show.
I don't really think it's a problem for us because we done made it to college. The
Yeah,
future
we've been through it. We didn't have AI
Yeah,
freshman
we
year.
didn't have
We thought on our own. We did it
well,
all.
Future
I
generations.
read a lot of what you write. I mean,
Oh, come
you all
on.
might be a little optimistic. I'm just saying. I'm just throwing that. Okay, let me throw you one headline because one more. This is a different, totally different topic, but this was actually one of my favorite headlines in a while. New York Times. Where's cricket? Don't ask. Don't ask. Kristi Noem defends killing her dog. Okay, so this is Kristi Noem is the governor of North Dakota, and she is considered a high-level candidate to be Trump's vice president. She wrote a book, and in the book, she talks about using a shotgun to kill her 14-month-old dog because he was untrainable to be a hunting dog.
Oh my God.
What?
Electric chair. Send her away. That's awful. That's terrible. Why would you do that?
Wait. You don't have any problem arresting students, but you shoot a dog. And
I mean, that's animal cruelty.
Yeah, like what?
You just put down a dog simply because it's untrainable and unfit
well, are
to
you
be
all?
a hunting dog.
Are you
Who's going to
people-
say she's not going to kill someone because they didn't learn their
Are you
training
city folk? Are
correctly?
you city people? Because I grew up in West Virginia on a farm, and people kind of did that.
I'm from the country.
If the dog,
well-
if the dog would not learn, if the dog was dangerous or bit people, now
Okay, if
this
it's
dog,
dangerous, I
Yeah, that's
understand
different.
that.
well, this dog did bite her husband,
Okay, what else?
and killed some neighbors' chickens. Now, most people would say, well, he was a puppy. He was 14 months old. He was still learning. But if you're from the country, you go, okay. Yeah. I mean, there's other options.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you had to whack the dog, but
Oh man.
But they-
See, I'm
But
from.
you're
We
shocked.
we
You're
never
sh-
like.
you're
Yeah.
shocked.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm like from the city, but we never killed dogs just because they didn't know how to learn something.
well, so
That'll be
anyway.
a house dog. We'll train it to become a house dog. It doesn't need to be a hunting
Yeah, we can train it to
There
be
you go.
docile.
There are other
calm.
options.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, this has been actually one of my more favorite shows in a long time. This has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media. It is our final show of the academic year. Lillian is cheering. She gets to go off on her vacation. So our producer is Lillian Scott. Our engineer is Triderica Winters, and our videographer is Elena Petleski. Thank you all very much for a great year and a good semester. And we will be back. Lillian, will we not, in the
We will
fall?
be back.
It's going to be
We will
very
be back.
exciting.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.